Welcome to the Pro On Call Technologies online training series. Today's topic is your new Yealink telephone and how it operates on the Pro Voice hosted service. I'm your speaker, Robin Coberling. Let's get started. In our first module, we're going to review how each one of the buttons on your telephone operates. There are three types of keys on your phone. There are flexible keys, which are programmable and can be changed. There are soft keys, which have a preset function, but the functions change depending on what the phone is doing. There are also fixed keys at the bottom of the phone. These fixed keys cannot be changed. They have a dedicated function regardless of what the phone is doing. Let's go over the flexible keys and what features may be pre-programmed on your buttons for you. The first type of key that is pre-programmed is an intercom button. You can see here in the display, the intercom key is listed as extension 4603. Your extension number will appear on each one of the keys that is your intercom button. Incoming and outgoing calls appear on these intercom keys, and if you are actively on a call, the button next to it will be lit green, like you see in this example. Even if you put the call on hold, it will continue to flash in green. The second type of programmable function that we normally put on your keys is a park key. In the example here, it says park 1, but you can have more than one park key. The park key is used for system-wide hold. The last two types of keys that we typically program on the phones are DSS and speed dial. DSS, or Direct Station Select, is a fancy way of saying a one-touch button that calls another staff member. A speed dial is a one-touch button that calls an outside telephone number. In this case, either function can be programmed on a key. If this is a DSS key, you can use it to transfer calls to that individual. You can also use it to tap the key and call the individual yourself. And with the light indication that you see in this display example, you'll see a red indication if that person is on the phone. With speed dial, I can use this as part of a transfer step or a direct calling for that outside telephone number. Now, the soft keys have preset functions when the phone is idle, which includes history, directory, DND or do not disturb, and a menu key. When the phone is actively on a call or the ringing of a call, or if you're placing a conference call, or if you are looking at the history, these soft keys will change and new functions will appear. You'll see some examples as we go through our presentation today of the different keys that are available. The fixed keys at the bottom of the phone again have a fixed function and cannot change, even if the phone is actively on a call. Those fixed keys include a standard keypad and a volume bar. That volume bar is used to adjust the ringing or the conversational volume. While the phone is idle and not being used is the best time to adjust the ringing volume to the level that you would like for all incoming calls. If you adjust the volume while a call is ringing, it will only apply to that call. Please note in your display that you will also get, while a call is ringing, a silence key if you want to temporarily silence that one call. This is different than adjusting the volume because it will stop the ringing volume completely on just that call. The navigational keys above the volume give us an up, down, and a left, right, and an OK and back key. This allows us to navigate through the screens that appear depending on, for example, if we're looking at a history, we would want to scroll up and down the list or even change our list view on the history, and we can do that with our navigational keys. You can use the OK to select the feature or function that you're highlighted on, and the X or the back key to go back one screen. The fixed keys that are to the right on the phone include a mute button, a headset key, a voicemail key, a redial button, and a speaker key. These keys are used to control the different features and functions on the phone. For example, the speaker. When I want to answer and hang up a call or put a call on speaker so that others around me can hear, I use the speaker function. The caller's voice comes out of the speaker located underneath of the handset on the telephone. The microphone that captures your voice is located here near the bottom of the phone. Please do not put a post-it note over this end of the phone, or your speaker conversation will be muffled. Also be aware these are very strong microphones and they will pick up all ambient noise for several feet around you. So if anything within your radius is making noise, such as people talking, laughing, coughing, typing on a keyboard, tapping a pen on the desk, or a radio playing, be aware that all of that is being transmitted with you through the speaker. Now let's get a little more in-depth about how to actually use the phone on active telephone calls. When you have an incoming call, you have several methods that you can use to answer that call. You can simply lift the handset. You can also press the answer soft key. That is, again, one of the keys below the display. You may also press the speaker button, and that will bring the call up on speaker. Note with the answer soft key, if you do not have a headset connected to your phone, that will bring the call up on speaker. If you have the headset connected and activated, the answer soft key will send the audio to your headset instead of speaker or handset. To make a call, you're going to lift the handset, or you're simply going to just begin to dial on the keypad. You're going to dial outside telephone numbers as a 10-digit number, so the area code needs to be included with every call. Internal extension numbers can be 3 or 4 digits, and you can dial those to reach the internal team. Any other call would be dialed as a 10-digit number. Keep in mind, this is internet dial tone, not traditional dial tone. So there is no local or long distance. There is only domestic and international. That's why all outside numbers have to be dialed with a 10-digit dial. Once in a while, you'll come across a toll-free carrier that still requires the 1 in front of the number. You will get a message from that carrier if they require a 1, but most will operate on the 10-digit number format. Once you have input the number, you're going to notice that there's a several second delay before the call is actually processed. That's because the system is waiting for you to continue dialing more digits. To invoke the dialing immediately instead of waiting those several seconds, you can press the OK button, which is again in the middle of your navigational wheel. You can press your speaker key. You can press the send soft key that will be visible while you are dialing, or you can press the pound key, which when you look at your telephone will see has the word send on it. One trick that I use is I will often dial the telephone number and then go ahead and lift the handset. That's another way that you can make the number dial immediately. As noted earlier, you do have the capacity to silence an incoming call, and you can reject the incoming call completely. Now that we've answered or placed our call, we need to manage it with the various functions that are available to us at this stage. Our screen has changed with the soft key function, and it now shows me a transfer, a hold, a conference, and an end call. As a little side note, please notice here next to the extension number, there is an image of a handset. That tells me that I'm actively on that conversation. When there is no handset, as you see over here in this example, that means the phone is idle or I'm not actively on that call. If I want to place the caller on hold, I press the hold soft key. To resume the conversation, I can press what has become a resume soft key, or I can press the button where the call is holding. In either case, the caller will be returned to the full conversation. Callers do hear hold music, either hold music provided by your system administrator or the default hold music in the system. There is no silence for the caller. When I'm ready to transfer a call, I'm going to press the transfer key. Then I'm going to dial my number or press my pre-programmed DSS or speed dial key. You can transfer calls to an internal extension or an outside number. Once I have dialed the number, I may stay on the phone to announce the call to the recipient. I do not have to stay on the phone to announce the call to the recipient, but I highly recommend that when you're transferring to an outside number, because the call will forward the forwarding to that number, such as cell phone voicemail, instead of internal system voicemail. To complete the transfer, I'm going to hit the transfer soft key again. Now, I do not have to hit the transfer soft key again. I can just hang up, and that will send the caller to the recipient. Keep in mind, if I don't hit the transfer soft key again, I may see additional flashing and or hear an additional ring on my phone before the recipient answers the call. Pressing the transfer key again during the transfer process eliminates that additional flashing or ringing. So again, the transfer process is accomplished by hitting the transfer soft key, dialing the number or pressing the pre-program key, staying on the phone if I wish to announce the caller, and then pressing the transfer key again to complete the call. A couple of other features that are available to me while I'm talking to an outside caller is the park key. We mentioned that the park key is a system hold function. When I press this park key as I'm on an active call, the key lights up a solid red, much like you see on this example here. The call is put on hold on that button, and now anybody on the system that has this park key can pick that call up and can see the button lit red. When we are using internet dial tone, as we are with the Pro Voice product, we do not have a line 1, line 2, and line 3. So if I put a call on hold, I'm the only person that can see it. If I want to put that call on hold so others can see it, I need to use this park function. Transfer is a little different from park, and then when I transfer a call to someone, it will follow their forwarding. If I park a call for someone, that call will come back to me if they don't answer it, because I'm still the owner until the other person picks it up. To retrieve a parked call, you're going to press the lit red park key, and now you become the active person controlling that call. Typically, a call sits on park or on hold for 2 minutes before returning to the person that originally placed it there. I can also use the mute key, which is the top of my 5 keys to the right, to mute my end of the conversation. I can still hear the caller talking fine, but they can't hear me. In fact, they hear nothing if they stop talking. So be careful when you use the mute key. I typically refer to this as the sneeze key, because if I need to sneeze, I don't want to do that in the person's ear, and I don't want to put them on hold, and I don't want to just put my hand over the handset, because that won't always muffle the sound, but mute will muffle the sound. You would press the mute key again to go back to the active conversation. Now, a couple of other features that are available to me on the phone include the redial button. The redial button, located here on my fixed keys, if pressed once, will go to a list of my recently placed calls. If I press it twice, that immediately redials the last number I called. Here's a little trick for you. If you scroll down on your list for redial and then lift your handset, you can also call the number that's highlighted. If I press the redial once, I would use my navigational keys up, down to go through the list of placed calls, and then press the OK or the send button to call the individual that I would like to return the call to. The DND or Do Not Disturb key is one of my soft keys when the phone is idle. I would use this button to stop the ringing at my telephone for all incoming calls. The caller will continue to hear ringing, but I will not at my phone when I'm in DND mode. The caller will then be sent to voicemail. If I need to place a conference call, I'm going to dial the first party, and then I'm going to press the conference soft key. I'm going to dial the next number that I want to add to the conference, and that can be an internal extension or an outside number. To officially join that second call to the first one, I'm going to press the conference soft key again, and now all three parties are on the phone. If I need to add a fourth party, which is the maximum on an on-the-fly conference that we're describing, I would go back and repeat all of the steps again. If you need additional conferencing capacity, please see your system administrator for a conference bridge, which is available on the ProVoice hosted product. The headset key would be used if I want to have the audio for my conversation going through a headset instead of through the handset or the speaker. When a headset has been plugged in or connected to the phone, I would press this button to invoke headset mode, and the key lights green. Now, when an incoming call rings to my phone, I'm going to press the answer soft key so that the audio knows to go to my handset. I will hit the end call key, which you see here in our example, if I want to hang up on the call. Depending on the headset function, you may need to press the button on your headset to answer the call instead. Please see your system administrator to work with you on your individual headset module. Accessing call information is available first through the history key. There are 5 types of call history that are captured in the phone. All calls, which when I press the history key is the list that I see. It shows me all incoming, outgoing, missed calls, and forwarded calls in one list. If I want to divide the list down into one of these individual categories, I'm going to use the navigational buttons on my phone to go left or right to break the list down into only missed, only placed, or only received. When I sort my list out by history, I can also use my up and down navigational to go up and down the list to look for the call that I wish. Here's another little tip for you. When you go into the call history and you select the call that you wanted to look at the information for, there is an option button and a detail button. The detail button will allow me to look at the details of the call, the date, the time, how long it lasted, and what number and caller ID name, if captured, it came from. The option button will allow me to add them to contacts, which I can find from my directory key, which is one of my soft keys on the idle screen on the phone. I can also add callers to a blacklist. That means that caller can't ring at my phone. Please see your system administrator for additional information on blacklisting calls. The directory soft key, as I mentioned, is a directory of contacts. You can enter those contacts manually one at a time, or you can enter them by going into the history and selecting to add them to an existing contact or create a new one. You can have multiple telephone numbers under each individual contact. So if somebody has an office number, a mobile number, and an alternate number, you could include all of those under one contact. If that person calls you from one of those contact numbers, the name that you have entered for that contact will appear on the display rather than the caller ID name. The DND, or do not disturb, redirects a call to voicemail without hearing the ringing at the phone first. The callers do still hear the ringing, but you don't hear the call coming in. The menu key gives us access to have the ability to program line keys. These line keys are the flexible keys that might be around your display. Please see your system administrator for additional details, or refer to the training handouts provided by your system administrator on how to change these programmable keys. The menu button also gives us access to change the ringtones and the date and time format, amongst other features. Just a final word about the navigational keys. Depending on what screen I'm on, these keys allow me to navigate all of the functions that the system can do. Thank you for joining us today for our series on operating your telephone. There are other videos in this series, including a description of voicemail and the mobile app, which is included as part of your system setup. You can visit us online at www.prooncall.com or call 800-362-6300 to speak with a care team member for additional information about your system. Thank you and have a great day.